All right, today I'm going to talk a little bit about why countries trade with each other and why introducing tariffs damages world GDP. Okay, so the reason that countries trade with each other is to take advantage of this thing called comparative advantage. The theory of comparative advantage was developed many years ago by an economist named David Ricardo. And basically, the whole idea is that countries can benefit from international trade if they focus on producing goods in which they have a low opportunity cost. Introducing tariffs interferes with this and lowers global wealth for all countries. So let's take a look at why that is the case. First, we need to understand what comparative advantage is. Let's say you have two countries, and let's keep it very simple. Country A and country B, and country A is a little bigger than country B. A can do 100 cars. If it puts everybody into the production of cars, it can make 100 cars. Or if it puts everybody into the production of trucks, it can make 50 trucks. It can do one or the other or some combination in between those two. Country B could do 80 cars, or it could do 20 trucks, or some combination between those two. All right. Now, you might look at this and country A might say, hey, there's no reason for us to even trade with country B. We can do more cars and more trucks here. We just do a little bit of both and, not worry about it. And so let's say that each country kind of just goes in isolation and they don't trade with each other. And country A puts half of its people on cars and half of its people on trucks. And so if it does that, it can produce half as many cars and half as many trucks as on this slide. And so it can produce 0.5 times 100. It can produce 50 cars, or it could do and 50 cars and 25 trucks. Because, in that country, they need both cars and trucks. Okay. Now, country B could do the same thing, put half of its people on cars, half on trucks. And it can make 40 cars and 10 trucks. And they could distribute all these goods to their people, however they want to do that. And if we just added all this up, what was produced this year, well, it was 90 cars between those two countries and 35 trucks. That's world's GDP. Global GDP is 90 cars and 35 trucks. I want you to remember that because we're going to introduce a situation where they can specialize in trade here in a second. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now, again, I'm reproducing this little part here, which shows the production possibilities frontier of country A and country B. Kind of this is what they can possibly produce. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the opportunity cost, though. This is key. So for country A, every time they produce a car, they have to give up one half of a truck, right? Because the ratio is 100 to 50. So every time they make one car, they give up the opportunity. They forego the opportunity to produce one half of a truck. Now, conversely, every time they produce a truck, they forego the opportunity to produce two cars. Okay, so the opportunity cost of a truck is two cars. Country B, on the other hand, every time they build a car, they give up the opportunity to produce only 1/4 of a truck because they don't seem very productive at making trucks. But every time they build a truck, they give up the opportunity to produce 4 cars. That's very expensive. It seems kind of like maybe country B should be producing more cars than trucks, but let's take a look at this a little bit further. Let's compare the cost of a car between the two countries. The cost of the car in terms of trucks, it's a half of a truck for country A, and it's a fourth of a truck for country B. So country B should specialize in the production of cars. It's much cheaper in country B. Country A, on the other hand, it costs 2 cars to build a truck. Country B, it costs 4 cars to build a truck. So it's cheaper to build it's cheaper to build trucks in country A than it is in country B. So A should build trucks and B should do cars. That's the theory of comparative advantage. Let's see how that would work out. So let's say B puts everybody on cars. As they're supposed to build cars, so they're just going to put every single person on cars. They're not going to make any trucks at all. They're going to shut down that production. They're going to make 80 cars. All right. But the problem is some people in their country might want some trucks. So we have to think about this. But right now they're going to make 80 cars. Country A says, you know what, we'll focus on trucks over here because we have a comparative advantage. Instead of building 50 trucks, we still want some cars too. Let's make 45 trucks, for example. Let's make 45 trucks. We're going to forego 5 trucks here that we could have built. But because we forego 5 trucks, we can build 10 cars, right? every time we forego a truck, we can build 2 cars. So we forego 5 trucks, we can put those people on building cars, we can make 10 cars. Now, if we add up all that was produced in the year, we have 90 cars, 80 and 10, and 45 trucks. 90 and 45. Before we had 90 and 35. So world GDP rose by 10 trucks. All right, now we can kind of figure out how to distribute that, and so maybe, country B wasn't able to produce any trucks, so maybe they make some, negotiation and deliver some of those cars over to country A, and in return they get some trucks, and everybody has a little bit more than they did when they just specialized within their own country and just focused on producing both goods within their own country. That's the whole theory of comparative advantage. This is why countries trade with each other. It's why the United States trades with small countries. Even where we have an absolute advantage in all products, it still makes sense for the United States to trade with small countries and large countries for sure. Introducing tariffs, it's not just a tax, it disrupts comparative advantage. And because of that, it is an extremely damaging type of a tax, and it lowers global wealth for all involved. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, because this is where I make finance fun for students. Thank you.